You are listening to episode 62 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John. I am joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and I'll take today's inflation deflation challenge shaken, not stirred.
I like that. Very nice, dude. So, as always, let's start with our pickups. Ryan, you had none, so... Oh, wait. You did have a pickup.
Sort of. Gamefly sent me Fractured Butthole, but I haven't gotten it from the mailbox yet because they only sent it on the 8th, and I don't think it's there yet. It might be. I'll have to check today. It's so weird, though, because that wasn't even my top pick. Like, so far, it hasn't sent me anything at the top of my queue, which is so weird because, like, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove is what I was expecting, and it's got medium availability, so I don't know why I wasn't able to get that one. I think that I just gotta use it as a force to take what comes my way, but I don't know how people manage to get exactly what they want on this unless they just wait forever or unless they're first in line somehow. So we'll keep figuring it out as we go.
Is it worth it so far? Based on your experience, I'd say no.
No, definitely not. Like, I was not a fan of Deus Ex Machina like I thought I was going to be, so that was kind of a waste. I know I'm going to like this game, and the fact that I guess I'm $24 in and 2 games, that's still pretty good.
Well, and considering that, like, it's a testing aspect, well, I guess, you know, Redbox did away with their, as we talked about, I think it was last week, Redbox did away with their video game rentals component that we know of. And so Gamefly is really your alternative to outside of demos, which you're not always going to have a demo for games.
Exactly.
So getting to try the game out, if you don't like it, return it, get another game in, and continue doing that versus spending $60 on Deus Machina.
Exactly.
Or Demon Ex Machina. So coincidentally, I had some pickups as well, one of them being Fractured Butthole on PS4. So, and I spelled that on the outline as butthole. So, I also got Darksiders 3 Collector's Edition ×2. I got 2 copies of that. Eagle Flight on the PS4. Again, I think this is my 4th copy. And Fractured Butthole and Tiny Troopers, along with Valtherian Arc, I think is what it's called. And that one was interesting. I've seen that on my Amazon, like, continually. And it's like a... kind of like a Sim City type thing, it looks like. So you're like building a school for RPG heroes, and it looks like it has like some actual gameplay, like fighting elements as well. I don't know too much about it. It was just one of those things where it was like, hey, we have 4 for $20 right now and all $9.99 under. And the first thing I find is Eagle Flight, which I know I can get like 15 out of. So I'm like, all right, well, if I buy
that
this,
pays for the other 3.
It pays
right
for the
away.
other 3. So I'm like, whatever. There's that, and then Darksiders 3 Collector's Edition, they had 2 of them on clearance, like full brand new and everything, $35 a piece. Like, really? Can I turn that down?
Yeah.
So I picked up 2 copies. I'll sell one online and get some money back and try to break even on that. And then hopefully, paid nothing for my games, I guess.
There you go. Nothing like free games.
Adding to the collection and the hobby and the addiction, and that's just how it goes.
You need to take a break from buying new games and buy a new shelf, man. Gosh.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm saving up to buy a new shelf for the games.
There you go.
So, currently playing. I know you don't know what I'm currently playing. I started my new games resolution.
Oh, you did? And what do you think of Shenmue?
Oh my god, it has the clunkiest controls of any game I've ever played. It is so frustrating, dude. Having played Sekiro just recently, and then switching over to a game where the camera angles suck, the audio sucks, the character animations suck. Everything about this game so far sucks, other than, I would say, the story component to a sense, and the ability to like go around and like do fun things, but that's gonna die really quickly for me. Like, it's not gonna be fun after a while.
Have you been buying a lot of coffees and doing a lot of gachapons?
I did a few gachapons. I've mainly been playing darts and slot machines, and then running around waiting for time to get, killed. And the audio just, I told you a while back that I booted up just to kind of hear some stuff. Audio sucks, dude. Like, I switched it to Chinese or Japanese like we had talked about, and the audio's still bad. Like, it sounds like a really bad recording that's been put over, like, it's just super fuzzy.
Yeah.
And the characters are just like really
it's very stiff.
yeah, like
game.
super stiff, and all of the like dialogue is just like that too. So like the audio sucks, and you got this dialogue. I'll give you an example. I'm looking for this biker named Charlie. Okay,
Yep.
like who in Japan is named Charlie? Okay,
Well,
come on.
yeah.
Yeah, like is that really a common name? Like I'm talking to Mr. Hatsumoto and Yakamura, and all of a sudden it's like, where's Charlie? Like what? It'd be like saying, where's Jeff?
He could be an expat.
Maybe. I haven't come across him yet.
I don't remember. Have you done the forklift racing yet?
No, I haven't. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, so the example for Charlie is I go to one guy at his bike shop, and he says, well, Charlie usually comes by here, but you might want to check the jacket shop. So I go, okay. So I stop and I ask him again. I said, about Charlie. And he says, oh yeah, he was here not too long ago. You might want to go to see so-and-so at their place, which there's no indication as to who this person is, other than he just told me jacket shop. Now I got to find a jacket shop, which is, the map is just confusing for the most part. There's no like, there's one area where you can pull up a map. Other than that, I haven't seen a map. And so I go to the jacket shop and I say, hey, I'm looking for a guy named Charlie. He's like, oh, Charlie? Yeah, Charlie came by here not too long ago, but I haven't seen him since. He wears a tattoo on his right arm. Really dumb if you ask me. Okay, thanks. I see. Then you ask him again. Hey, about the guy with the tattoo. Oh yeah, he was here just the other day till 7 o'clock waiting for bars to open. I'm like, oh, you didn't think to tell me in the first bit of dialogue? And then the next part he goes, I see. And that's it. Like he just, whenever you finish a conversation, Ryu just goes, I see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so annoying. And like I said, those controls, I'm like feeling myself grip the controls in frustration. I've never had that with a game's controls.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, if you were playing something on a joystick and you really want to like just make a turn or do a jump and you're like slamming the joystick to try and get it to do what you want to do, that's how it is for every movement in this game, like every component of it. And it's so, I can't believe I picked this game, but I have to beat it now. That's part of the New Games Resolution, a game you've always wanted to play, which I have, but I wish I would have looked up the controls on this, and or not the controls, but overall reviews, like truthful reviews, not from fanboys.
Well, they're gonna be definitely stilted, and I mean, it was a big game when it came out, so you got to cut it a little slack.
I've heard that the controls in the PS4 version are worse than the Dreamcast version. Like the Dreamcast apparently was bad, but they said this is more awkward than even the Dreamcast version. So this game rated like 9s out of 10 for the most part all around, and I'm starting to think it's more like fanboys jumping on the bandwagon. Like you have some truthful reviews that people are like, yeah, the audio's kind of bad, the controls are really poor, like it's just not a good port, and you got all these people, oh, this is fantastic, it's Shenmue put in like this brand new light and remastered, like tons of fanboys, not enough critics. We need more critics on this game so we can drop down that score and not piss people off when they decide to play it. So that is my currently playing, Ryan.
So I'm still playing Final Fantasy 12. I keep looking at the guide and counting the pages till the end, so I think the walkthrough ends on like 227 and I'm on like 186. And, you know, a lot of those last few pages are just like boss stats and stuff. There's a ton of extra stuff to do in this game, and I looked it up yesterday because I'm kind of at the point, you know how a lot of Final Fantasies, you hit a point where it's like, all right, things are going to step up. Here's a big field you can grind in.
Yeah.
So I could either do that or I could do some side quests and stuff, but I think I'm just going to blow through it because from what I looked up, people are like, oh, you know, why wouldn't you want to get everything out of a game and do the side quests? And then the next response, some guy was like, yeah, but they're all like old fetch quests with like bare bones. Like you don't really get anything out of it. Like the items aren't really worth it. So it's like, I'll just get through that. But I did finish Link to the Past.
Oh, nice.
Yep. I finally did it.
Your first game of 2020.
Yeah. So I've never beaten that game before. I followed a guide just to try to get the stuff in between doing each of the temples, you know, try to get all the heart pieces and stuff. I didn't succeed at that. I missed a couple. I think one of them was from one of the digging mini games. I just got tired of RNG screwing me, so I just stopped digging for it. But and I had to look up at the end with Ganon because I was hitting him, and then he like turns to ice or stone or something, and I'm like, what do I do? And then I was like, oh, okay, I gotta shoot him with the silver arrows, and it was done.
One other thing that we've been playing this week. So my wife and I, holiday season, super busy. We finally got back to playing some Neverwinter Nights, and it's still clunky in terms of the overall performance and the frame rates and how things are in that game. And of course, it's still frustrating. Certain areas like in PC when you'd say attack this guy and your guy's just kind of standing there and doesn't do anything. Same concept, same issues. But we're actually having some fun with it. We finished a couple more side quests yesterday. We're getting a hang of the controls on the Nintendo Switch for this, and we're actually enjoying it. So pretty good stuff. So I would say for the price point of $50 back then, totally regret paying what I paid. Definitely worth 30. If you can find it for 30 brand new, not 50.
Mm-hmm.
So just for anybody listening out there on that one. And for anybody listening, obviously find us on all of your podcast applications on Apple and Android. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All of them are at the Game Deflators, except Twitter. They just don't like the.
They don't like the.
Next thing, dude. News for the week.
News for the week. So we're going to open up with Xbox won't have Series X exclusives for at least a year. This comes to us from Matt Kim at IGN. And basically what Xbox is doing is all of their launch titles are going to be backwards compatible onto the current gen hardware as well. So you're going to have your regular Xbox One, and then the Series X is going to come out with a slew of launch titles, and you don't even have to buy that to play those games. You could just skip the $500 investment or whatever the price point was. I think it was $500, and go right back home and play it on your current gen hardware, which is cool. But I have a feeling it's going to hurt their launch window. Like, why would you launch with something that nothing is required to be played on? And it also makes me think of that article, and I referenced this a few weeks ago, talking about like the hardware and the SSDs. Well, whenever you're developing for a console, you got to kind of target the low-end specs as well as the high-end specs, but those low-end specs are going to keep the Xbox One regular from being able to do some things, or at least have as good a performance as it would on the Series X. And I'm wondering how that's mostly going to impact third-party developers, because if they're going to be developing for the Series X, well, not really, because everything they have to develop has to be able to be played on the regular Xbox One, which is getting old.
So this reminds me, and I brought this up as well a while back, as to why companies don't do this as much. And basically this was done back with PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. Right after PS1 was, kind of getting out or phasing out, they had PS2. And you had some games, like mainly sports games, you'd have a couple years worth of sports games.
Yeah, they'd still kind of keep it alive with some of those yearly releases at the tail end.
And you had some late PlayStation 1 releases that ended up not making it on PS2, and obviously some PS2 early releases didn't go on PS1. So I would think that it would be better to do it that way. And they even mentioned in the article, like most companies do, like exclusives on that console to get you to purchase that console. But if you're going to put all of your games on both consoles, and probably PC as well, given Microsoft's history of this, I don't see the reason to buy a brand new Series X at that point in time.
I see a reason for kids to hide this information from their parents if they want that new console next Christmas.
That's also true.
Don't tell the parents that you don't need the new console to play the new games.
Yeah, we're not advocating for it, but we know you can do it. So that's if we have kids listening. Hopefully not, because given the curse words. But I would say that this is just a bad move for Microsoft. Like, why would you not have some exclusives on your console that you can only get on there to fuel people to want to purchase that console? If you're going to throw everything on the Xbox One, and they're talking like 1 to 2 years potentially on this, that is dumb, dude. Like,
just wait for the release of the console. Like, why are you going to push the console if you're not ready to leave the last gen?
And after like 2 years, a console's likely to drop in price anyways because they'll release some random ass slim console at that point. So why would and
we already know they're going to be coming out with many different models of this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's already been addressed as well. So like this is just poor up front to say, yeah, we're gonna release a bunch of games. They're gonna be exclusive later on, and it's gonna be about a year or two before we actually like have any true exclusives of console. I bet you Sony's gonna come right out the gate and say, nope. Here's the like 5 games. I think they already have.
We've already seen God's Fall.
Yeah, that's one game right off the bat. It's like, you're finding this on PlayStation 5. It is not going to be on PlayStation 4. Why? And they even take some of those games on PS4 and remaster them right away onto the PS5. So it makes zero sense. Like, Sony all the way this generation. I'm going to call it here. I don't see Microsoft doing much. I'm going to say this is probably the last Xbox console as well.
I mean, the way that they've been integrating with PC that we've seen through things like the Xbox Games Pass and just releasing more titles on both and kind of owning that space and saying that, Microsoft is the place to play. Not necessarily Xbox, not necessarily PC, but you could even, mingle those two together with the Game Pass and you can have access to more than one place to play. And that's something that they could have probably embraced sooner. I know some things in the past have been like, well, where's the Master Chief Collection for PC? And then it comes out. There's certain things that people were like, well, I remember waiting forever for my friend to get Halo 2 on PC because they just didn't put it out right away.
Yeah.
So, they're embracing their fans, and I think that a lot of people are ultimately going to benefit from this backwards compatibility. Like, I'm a fan of it. I think that it's cool. I just don't think it's smart.
Well, and really, I mean, does it make Microsoft? I mean, they're a major player in the gaming space, but does this kind of make them still a direct competitor to Sony in a sense? I mean, it does, but like, really, I mean, if you're going to, your PCs are already existing items. You have stuff on Steam, I guess, that you can play. You have the PC, and then you've also got your Xbox One and your new Series X. So there's multiple ways to play their games, and while that's great, Sony's focused on, here's our PlayStation 5.
They know what they're doing. They're targeted. They're like...
Yeah, we're pushing this particular piece of hardware, and that's what we're rolling with, whereas Microsoft's like super fractured all over how they're doing this. And it shows in the last console generation that Microsoft just doesn't know what they're doing from an exclusive game standpoint.
Yep.
So, yeah. With that being said, though, anything else on that before we move on?
Nope. Rolling right into the next one, talking about PS5.
Yeah, so PS5, and if anybody did not see the shocking announcement, they released the PlayStation 5 logo, and it looks exactly like you would think it would look.
Yeah. There's I don't understand why this is such a dumb thing. Like, what are they going to call it? What's the logo going to look like? I don't know. Probably what it looks like now, but one number up.
Probably what we've been calling it the last, decade, for the most part. Like, when they released the PlayStation 5, like, we've been calling it this for years.
Well, they had a huge advantage. Like, they were on the PS2 by the time the Xbox came out, and it's like nobody wants to be releasing the Xbox 3 when the PS4 is coming out because it just sounds bad, but it's like the same thing with iPhone. Like, they've got that number scheme and that works for them, and it's just so much smarter and more effective. Like, Xbox is confusing everybody with their terms. Well, the Xbox and then the Xbox One and the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X, and they're all the same, but they're all different. But apparently you can play all the games on all of them, so it doesn't really matter in the end. It just depends on what kind of specs you want. And in the article, they're saying that they still haven't really come out with like the full specs for the PS5.
Well, that's one thing you got to love about Sony in this is that, the specs haven't been released yet, but they're pretty much saying in the market, here's what you're buying, here's what you're going to get, here's what you can expect. Microsoft's like, hey, here's a wall of like 10 different items. What do you want? What are you trying to consider? Like, I appreciate the flexibility from them on this, but console gamers aren't really PC gamers for most part.
The point of a console is to be able to buy it and it plays everything for the next 7 years and you're good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't care if the graphics are 2 times better on PC at that point.
And
like,
I don't have an 8K TV anyways.
Exactly. Like, I purchased this console to play these games and I know what I'm going to get, and it's going to be this amount of time for this many years. And when the next generation comes out, I'll upgrade at that point. Like, that's what console gamers do. if you want to play PC, then play PC. Don't force us into this, hey, we're going to have like 10 different options for you to play these games. Like, Sony's very targeted, like you said, and they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for years, and it's one of their core focuses. So I'm excited about PS5. You had one other thing you were going to say on it, though.
Well, I'm excited about it too. Nick Stat is certainly excited to see them reveal this information possibly later this year at E3, but I looked it up. Sony's skipping E3 again. So I don't know what Sony's waiting for really to release the full specs. Like, if they're trying to make last minute adjustments to compete with the Microsoft specs, I guess maybe, but that doesn't seem like something. Like, usually you have like the thing built, like it's already out there. They have test models out there. We've seen all the pictures. Like, it's being developed on. Like, why keep it a secret? I don't understand what that was really protecting for them.
Well,
it's going to come out one day. You've had plenty of opportunities. They could have gone to CES and told everybody what was in it. Why they decided not to, I don't know. I don't know how big of a deal that is.
Well,
really.
CES seemed more like an investor type thing than anything else. It didn't. I don't know, the way that they presented that show, like they released a 360 audio thing for a car at that show. They showed like their sports camera work and such, which was actually pretty badass if you didn't see that. And they showed like sales
it's a trade
numbers.
show.
Yeah, and they showed sales numbers for PlayStation 4. I think 106 million is what they said, which makes it officially the second best-selling console, I believe,
to the PS2, which was like 140 something million.
I think like 158, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was pretty high. So. Yeah, with Sony, I can see why they would be hiding it. Like Microsoft is out here throwing all these specs out, all these numbers. For all we know, we have speculation of what Sony's releasing and what's going to be included. And we have a few tidbits of people have got certain information. Like we've talked about in the past, or I think last week, the 9.2 teraflops.
The teraflops. All
the floppiness. So there's little bits of information have come out, but nothing I think has been like official. So this could be one of those, we've got other things we're doing. We're still kind of improving on this console. Like, we're going to be building it, but we're not releasing everything yet because they might have some better specs in certain areas.
And even if the specs aren't as good as the Xbox, like the PS4 Pro isn't as high spec as the Xbox One X.
Yeah, and it still sells better.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't really matter. People are coming to Sony for what Sony provides, and that's kick-ass exclusives.
Exactly. Which Microsoft doesn't really have because you got it on 3 different consoles right now.
So, I mean, that's the console war, is kind of over, but I think this one's just kind of starting to really get heated up. We'll see as it goes through the rest of the year.
And when does Nintendo kick in on all this? Like,
well, there was a small article that we weren't really gonna do, but yeah, there is the rumored new Switch coming out halfway through 2020.
No, I thought that was ramping up on the Switch Lite, is what that article was talking about. Like ramping up production on Switch Lite numbers. I don't know if they're releasing a new Switch all of a sudden.
Well, there's been the rumors for like a Switch Pro model versus a Switch Lite model. So
that would make sense.
We'll see if Sony wants to participate or Nintendo wants to participate this year and also launch a new console.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo's doing okay on their own, given their market, given what they're doing.
And people love the Switch.
Well, and the stuff that's coming out on it is pretty quality stuff. Lots of great indie games are making their way hard copy wise, and I like it. I enjoy playing the Switch. So, next thing was really cool. I watched this morning. It was just a super random thing. It came up on like my Google feed this morning. And it was, there's a guy, I don't know the name offhand, was it Creeper Hunter? Yeah, so Creeper Hunter came out with a speed run of Outer Worlds, and it was like 12 minutes and 6 seconds or something. It was crazy. But the really cool thing about this particular speed run is you had developers that were actually talking and doing commentary through the speed run and just like, whoa, wait, he made that jump? Like, I didn't know you could make that jump. And other guys like, oh yeah, I used to do that in testing all the time. They're just like, it's this really cool back and forth. It was through IGN actually. And it's just this really cool back and forth that anybody listening should check out. What did you think of it overall?
I like to see this kind of developer engagement. I like to see developers, reacting to what the community is doing with their games. And I think this is a fun way. I like speedrunning. I don't really watch like, what is it, 80 EQ, awesome games done quick or whatever.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember what the name of it is, but there's a big show they do every year for charity where they have speedrunners go in and, you know, you get donations and raise a bunch of money, and it's really cool. I've never been good enough at any game to speedrun. The best I ever did was I beat RE4 like 3 times in one day, and I got it narrowed down to like 6 hours or 7 hours or something, which is pretty good, I think, but probably not nearly as good as you need to be. Like, speedrunning's crazy cool, and I like to see, you know, what the developers actually think of what's being done with it, and it was fun. They were good commentators too. It was interesting. It's worth the 12-minute watch for sure.
Yeah, a little more. I think it's like 15. So the one thing I found that was pretty cool with this particular speedrun, the commentary, was just how they always had this, like, the way that they talked about, you know, when a cutscene would happen, they'd say, "Oh, yep, just skipping right over that great cutscene we made," and what was it? There was a code that some particular person had, and he's like, "Why is he going there? Like, doesn't he have to get this code?" And we're like, "Oh, he's fast traveling. Like, that's what he's doing." Like, it was just really cool to see, like, their surprise and how somebody was breaking certain mechanics. And the funniest part was, I felt, with he was like speeding through some dialogue really quick, and he just goes, "Well, it's good to know our game isn't broken. He's able to do this so quickly." So it was just really cool to just, you know, like I said, hear them talking about their game, really getting to see somebody speed run through it, and their perspective on, like, wow, I can't believe, like, he's doing all of these things. Like, we didn't think about this. We thought we put in a hard gate. Just all these crazy things that they discuss, that it really gives you kind of an idea into their mindset on, we were trying to prevent something like this from happening, so we did this, but this guy truly exploited it. And they even had mentioned, they're like, yeah, we didn't expect somebody to exploit this that fast. Like, they knew it existed and there was a reason for it, but they didn't think it'd be figured out that quickly.
I mean, games are so complex to build. I mean, there's no end to things that players can discover on how to, you know, get around certain problems that you might not even realize are problems, because you're focused on making a good game. You're not really focused on making a locked box that can't be toyed with.
Yeah, and it made me happy to kind of, you know, listen to that and hear him say, yeah, you know, like, I'm happy this isn't broken. I'm happy this is working just fine. Like, the way that he's playing this game, like, it wasn't intended to be played like this, but seeing our work and understanding that it's actually working how it should be, even in, like, the most stressful situations, it was really cool to kind of hear that perspective.
See, I'm going to keep this in mind for a new game's resolution down the road, because I can just go and look this video up again, and I can probably beat the game in like 20-30 minutes and be done with it. Like, I won't set a speed run, but I could probably follow the video and get through it.
You know, that's actually a pretty good point. Exploiting
loopholes.
Exploiting some, you know, Oblivion was actually like this too.
See if there's a way you can backdoor your way through Shenmue through like a crouch jump somewhere.
I don't even think there's any jumping in that. Like, let alone the combat. Oh, dude, the combat in that game is horrible as well. So you have like quick time events that you have to do, or QTEs.
Yeah.
And they're okay, like, so far, but he took like this big biker guy or sailor, and he just like grabs him, slings him over his shoulder, and the guy's just like knocked out. Like, really? You just picked up this huge flippin' sailor, flipped him over your shoulder, and he's knocked out and done. And then the other guy, he's like, oh, let me just kind of slow motion sidestep, elbow you in the face really quick, and then that guy's knocked out. It's like, let's go, we have to run. So yeah, if I can exploit a hole in Shenmue, be fantastic. Oblivion, though. So I believe it was my cousin years ago told me, and I haven't really confirmed this or looked up anything, but he told me I think you could beat Oblivion in maybe 20 minutes. And it's the same concept for all of these games. You do the side or the main mission, and you can complete in X amount of hours. It's where all of those side quests come into play that it takes all that time to beat one of these types of games. So that's right up your alley, dude.
There we go.
Fallout, all the Fallout games, all the Elder Scrolls games, and now Outer Worlds. You can beat like 6 games in a month.
There we go.
Be awesome. Okay, sounds like we should get into our next section of news.
So the last thing we got today is Sega teases a 2020 Sonic Adventure remake. So this video is from Around the Clock on YouTube. Check him out. The original video is from the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter. And it's just a clip for Sonic fans being like, hey, you know, Sonic, he's cool. We love Sonic in 2020. Sonic showing up some cool stuff for you. But the big deal that they have here is they have a bunch of hidden messages stored in the video. Let me pull that up. You can see those too. We'll link to Nintendo Wire. They have an article out that kind of pulls all the same stuff that he put together in his video. And throughout the video, there's these little white text messages across the screen, and they say, a glimmer of flame, growing with each success, enduring every challenge. Within this, my last puzzle, remember the words, Ignis aurum probat. This next chapter belongs to you. And that phrase, Ignis aurum probat, he talks about it in the video, means fire tests gold. So they're obviously trying to drop some hints in here. You know, we've seen other studios, they love to drop these like cryptic messages through Twitter to soft launch, you know, some ideas in people's minds.
I was actually checking out Blue Point Games right now just to...
Do they have anything new?
No, nothing new. Just a bunch of Legend of Dragoon fanboys on here posting GIFs of Legend of Dragoon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, so he speculates that there could be, you know, either a remake of Sonic Adventure. He talks a little bit about composer and a live performance that was done with kind of like a retake on the original intro song to Sonic. And that's all through some leaks. I think that this is all fun. I always love these kind of like AR game, like, hey, here's a code, see what you can find. It's always fun for the community to get like hype. But Sonic Adventure, people have been talking about Sonic Adventure since it came out, and everybody thinks it's the best thing ever. But I've watched enough YouTubers play Sonic Adventure that who wants a remake of that game? The game was terrible.
It is the best game ever. Come on now. So Sonic Adventure, I don't see this as a remake, actually. I'm wondering if
Sonic Adventure 3?
Yeah, a new Sonic Adventure.
See, but that's the thing is, like, people keep talking about Sonic Adventure. Leave Sonic Adventure in the past and just be happy with the Sonic you have now.
Well, here's the thing. I read another article while you weren't looking. So, yes, I read other articles. And they had talked about how Sega is kind of beating a dead horse, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, it's Sonic. Like, how much Sonic can you get? But look at Mario.
You could get a movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could get a... Yeah, let's not talk about that right now. Let's wait until we actually watch this, and I don't even know if I want to watch it. I might just Redbox it.
Right.
So, basically, you know, they talk about it beating a dead horse and how Sonic is the same type of thing rehashed every time. What about Mario? Mario's been rehashed so many times as is, but they always continually go back to Mario's roots to try and get you a good quality game. And
well,
Sonic,
and they're good stewards of that franchise. Like, I feel like Sega has just not taken good care of Sonic. Like, do we need to talk about...
we need to call Video Game Protection Services on Sega.
Yeah, do we need to talk about Sonic 06? Does anybody need to bring that up again?
Sonic Color, Sonic Black. Yeah, I mean, they really haven't taken care of their franchise, which sucks because it's
Shadow.
Yeah, and whatever the pink one is, it finds jewels. I forget what game that is. So, realistically, the article mentions that by doing a Sonic Adventure remake, I would hope a Sonic Adventure, like, new game, so a 3, potentially, they'd be going kind of back to those roots in this sense. You're not going to get another good side-scrolling Sonic. Those days are over.
Well, no, there was that one that came out on Switch that was really successful.
Yeah, it was the, like, rehash
Sonic Mania.
Yeah, it was like all the old Sonic games. It wasn't anything crazy.
People loved it.
Well, yeah, because they're Sega fans. They're gonna love it. If you look at
how
it was
made by a Sega fan too.
Well, yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. It's made by a Sega fan. Like, those are the people that are that audience. So I would say that by getting back to like a Sonic Adventures, it's kind of like Mario Odyssey in a way. Mario Odyssey had this like really cool nostalgic Nintendo 64 experience, but also implemented other like parts of the franchise within the game itself. A new Sonic Adventure could do just that for Sonic. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have like a totally new Sega console, because I could never see Sega releasing another console, but they could get back to their roots and release a great Sonic game for people.
Well, they tried, what was that Sonic game that came out like a year or two ago, where you like make your custom character, and I don't know. I didn't play it because I'm not a Sonic person.
There's so many Sonic games.
I've never been a Sonic fan. I'm happy for Sonic fans to get all hype up about this again, but it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time until a Sonic Adventure 3 comes out. Everything that Sega posts about Sonic, people are going to think is going to be a Sonic Adventure 3 or a Sonic remake.
Well, like we have Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure DX or something, Sonic Adventure Battle, Battle 2. There's like, how many Sonic games can they release? And that's what's really killing is they went ahead and deviated from their formula for so long. And if you look at all the different console generations, how many Sonic games exist after Dreamcast, it's crazy, dude. You have so many
storybook series, which nobody really liked. That's the thing, is most of them are just not great games, and people keep holding on to hope for more good stuff. Like they got lucky with Sonic Mania.
I have a lot of the Sonic games. I think I might have close to all of them as far as general releases are concerned. And they're just not that great, in my opinion. We're probably going to get a lot of hate for that, for anybody listening.
Hey, if you're a big Sonic fan out there and you think that we're wrong, tell us. Tell us where you can tell us, John.
Well, we already told you like earlier if you were listening, but if you skipped ahead for some really random reason.
Just to get to the Sonic, they wanted to... Gotta go fast, man.
But they're
Can't
not
listen to the whole podcast.
I don't outline the times. Well, if you were listening right now and you skipped ahead to listen to Sonic and you didn't hear what I said before, you could find us on all of your Apple and Android applications for podcasts are all over the place. Podbean, Pod Addict, anywhere. Spotify, iHeartRadio, and then find us on social media. Twitter, @Game Deflators. YouTube, I think it's at The Game Deflators on there. Facebook and Instagram, @The Game Deflators. So look us up on there. Lots of fun pictures, lots of fun commentary, and lots of memes, most importantly.
And leaving Sonic in the dust, we've got today's Inflation Deflation Challenge, everybody. We're doing James Pond 3, Operation Starfish. This was developed by Victrodian and Millennium Interactive, published by EA. Designer Chris Sorrell, and I looked up because I accidentally thought we were doing James Pond 1. He's the designer, programmer, and artist on these games. He had some help with the art on this one, and this was released in 1993 to mostly positive reception.
So I actually looked up Sorrell because I wanted to try and tag him, and we still can after it's done. Just we'll have to tag the @JamesPondGame Twitter account. He hasn't been active on there for like 5 years. It looks like they were planning on doing like a new James Pond game.
Yeah, they tried to do a Kickstarter in 2013, but they had to pull it down because they weren't going to get the funding.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because I really liked this game. I thought it was really cool. Talking about Mario and Sonic, this is truly like a blend of Mario and Sonic.
It really is.
100% blend of those two games.
You've got that same kind of sloping speed, momentum Sonic, but a lot of...
Jumping on enemies, collecting moons, which are really the equivalent to your coins in Mario. Other types of collectibles, which would really be the equivalent to a Sonic
world map, like Super Mario World.
Yep, it has a world map, but it opens up in the same type of like, how in Sonic, how it kind of comes up with World 1, Level 2, World 1, Level 3.
Yeah,
it kind of comes up and it's like, yeah, you're in, I think it was Parmesan Fields or something like that we were located.
On the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
A fish on the moon. A secret agent fish on the moon.
Exactly. And I would say from a negative perspective on this, the one thing I didn't like was that punch ability. I felt it wasn't needed. Like, you could have used that to just... We were able to pick up stuff like guns and bombs.
There's something we hadn't run into yet that could only be punched.
Well, no. I did run into a couple things. So they have like these signal things that go off, kind of like an alien alert type of deal. And you're supposed to punch those. Like, that's what the punch function's for. And you would typically take, like, to pick up items and throw items. Like, I really don't think the punch option is necessary. I think you probably could have gotten away with this game in just having the ability to pick up certain items and then just use those items, which you can do, but there's still a punch function, which is kind of stupid outside of item retrieval. So, in the little bit of time that you played, did you enjoy yourself?
Not really. I am
not a platformer.
Well, I'm not big on platformers. I do like platformers, but not that much. But also, I just don't like the Sega. I never had a Sega.
Don't say that. Sega gauges will hear you or something.
The 3 buttons. I don't like there being 3 buttons. I want an even number of buttons.
That controller has 6, sir. So that is an even number of buttons. Yeah, you see that? 6. Oh, wrong one. Look at my turbo controller. 6 buttons.
I never played much Sega. I know I've said this every time we've played a Sega game, but I don't know. It was okay. The sound was great. The visuals were really good. I thought the level design seemed, adequate. I don't know.
Sprites were on point, dude.
There was a zillion little things to collect. So but they seem kind of weirdly placed. Like it'd just be like, well, here's a big splotch. Like imagine running into a room in Mario and there was like
a million coins,
60 coins. And then you go to the next room and there's like 60 more. It's like at some point you're just picking up coins for really
no reason.
I guess just to get your high score, but like who plays a platformer for high score, I guess?
Some people do.
I guess.
Mainly it's speedrunning,
Not
though.
me.
No, I don't either. I just play it to play it. Well, with this game, I would say it would have benefited from a multi-release on like a Super Nintendo. I think that we probably could have got maybe a cleaner game, but the sprites I felt were on point for this. And the music, dude, that music
was good.
Oh, man. And you missed out on, when I first got here, I'd let the load screen kind of go for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like this really badass music going on. Story was breaking out. It was just kind of showing everything that was occurring. It was really cool.
I mean, this must be a pretty well-remembered franchise for some people out there. I mean, obviously they made 3 of them and they wanted to try to kickstart another one later. So if you have good memories of James Pond, let us know. But as far as price-wise, which is why we're all here for the Inflation Deflation Challenge to see, is this game worth adding to your collection? John has the complete in-box
With poster
Sega Genesis version. That's going to be $19.95. Now, that just peaked in November at $19.99, and it's been at $19.99 in the past. So this game's pretty steadily right around the $20 mark for the last few years at least, and it seems like it's holding pretty good. You could probably get a little bit of deal. There was a few years ago where it kind of like dropped down. Somebody got it for a steal, but for the most part, you could expect to pay $20 for this. If you want a loose copy, that's going to run you $11.63. That's actually the highest price that it's been at, and that seems to be holding there for now as well. So, for the extra $8, the manual in here is great. We were looking through the manual. In the back, it has some just kind of fun facts about the development. It breaks down all the items and characters in the game. Bring back manuals. I know we've talked about that before. I think that for the extra $8, if you're gonna buy this game and you have the option to buy it loose or in the box, and it's only gonna be $8 more, buy it in the box. It's a good box. It's a good manual. It'll look better on your shelf.
Yep.
I would spring for it. I don't know if it's worth $20.
Well, it's worth it if you want to buy the box.
Well, it's worth it for the upgrade. Like I'm saying, is the game loose
the game
worth
loose?
$11.63? I'll say that the box is worth $8, but is the game itself worth the $11.63, John?
So think of this from a digital perspective. If you bought this game right now on a Switch or PS4 digitally, what would you be willing to pay for this game?
I think it is on Switch.
Okay, well, what would you be willing to pay for this game? While you look it up, I'll go over some pros on it. So good sprites, good music. The overall controls were not bad. I actually felt like I had control of the character for the most part. And I felt that the level design was great for what we had. So I would say at a complete in-box rate of $19.95, right on point. I don't think you need to go any higher than that with this game. Loose at $11.63, I would argue you could probably, if this game was selling at $15,
you can get James Pond RoboCod, which isn't the same game, for $9.
Okay. So you're looking at a digital release of a game at $9. Loose copy, $11.63. So I would be willing to pay $9 for that game. I would probably also be willing to pay $15 if I knew how much time I was going to get out of it. So if I was going to get a good amount of hours out of a game, I would be okay paying $15 for a loose copy. How about yourself?
So I think that this game is really good for somebody who loves the Genesis, who really wants to go back in time, and they've beaten all the Sonics, man. They're a Sonic, Sega fanboy, and they're like, I gotta have a way to get more Sonic into my Sega,
and they want to play
James Bond
Mario.
is here for you.
Well, they want to play Mario too, but they don't want to cheat on Sega. So yeah, you're right, man. James Pond.
I think that there is a great audience for this, and it's just not me. And I will say that $12 isn't bad for a game. $20 for a nice piece for your shelf. I can see this definitely being a game that you're not just going to put on your shelf. I could definitely see this being a game that people are going to play. It's well-made game.
So it sounds like, without rounding up, you said $12, I said $15. We can say that this is deflated, probably worth a little bit more than what it's got going for it.
Yeah, I think that, its current peak right now says a lot for it. We don't often see that, especially with the loose games, that, right now is the most money that it has been. So I think maybe other people are starting to appreciate this title too, and I'm going to go with, I think it could be deflated.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good rating, I feel. So we got to figure out what we're going to do next week. And then probably a good point to make, we're going to have a couple episodes. We've already planned this, but anybody listening now, we're going to have sometime in about mid-February
John's going to be going away.
Yeah, well... Yeah.
For a little while.
So we're going to have a couple episodes pre-recorded just for that period of time. Fun
just
episodes.
A little something different to break up the format.
And in fact, we're doubling up today, which is pretty sweet. I'm really excited about these, and they'll be released as standard. I think episode 65 or something. I don't know offhand which ones. So yeah, should be exciting. We probably shouldn't release it as episode 65 when we're recording because we don't know what number we're going to be on.
What do you mean?
Well, if we released it in several weeks, and
count the weeks, John.
Well, I'll try. Math is not a strong point.
We'll do all this behind the scenes stuff behind the scenes. Until next time,
I'm Ryan.
No, you're not.
I'm John.
I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
Yes.
And we are the Game Deflators.